Howdy, folks. It's your old pal David Cobb coming to you live on the Green News Network. This is Democracy in Action. I'm your host, David Cobb. You know, Gil Scott-Heron famously said the revolution will not be televised, but it will be brought to you over this form of non-corporately filtered news, information, and analysis every week on Democracy in Action. I am really excited about our guest today, Fabi Maldonado, a young star rising in the Green Party in the world of social justice. Let's cut right to it. Fabi Maldonado, welcome to Democracy in Action.
Thank you so much, David. I'm glad to be here with you today.
So, Fabi, I got the pleasure of meeting you at the Voting Justice Conference that we did following the Wisconsin recount. And I was just completely fascinated by your charisma, by your vision, by the plans that you have in Racine. And I promise we're going to get to all of those things. But before we do, I want to give our viewers an opportunity to get to know you, the person. So why is it, Fabi, that you're doing this Green Party work? What is it that motivates you? Tell us what brought you here to this point today.
Okay, so what brought me to this point, just quick intro. I'm a first generation American. My mom and dad both immigrated from Mexico. Both came here. What is it?
Bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos, gracias, gracias. But yeah, my mom and dad came here because we used to have really good factories in the late 80s, 90s. My mom and dad were working in factories. Dad saved enough money. Eventually bought a used semi truck and started trucking, and we opened up a trucking company. We had some properties, and we bought a bar along the way. So we've always been pro business people, hardworking people, and just like almost every immigrant has the same story. Every person that has immigrated here pretty much has the same story. They come here to work hard and to make a living and a better life for their family and everybody around.
You know, it's funny, whenever you were describing your parents and, working in the factories, working hard, saving money, buying a property, what flashed in my mind was, the Mexican dream, right? They talk about the American dream. The reality is that's the human dream, right? That you can make a good life for yourself and your children. What's really worth pointing out is that the NAFTA and the neoliberal policies of both the U.S. government and the Mexican government, led in this country, of course, by Bill Clinton and the Democratic Party, really destroyed that dream for working class people in Mexico and in the United States.
Yeah, it was tough, but luckily, like I said, my mom and dad, they've always been self-supported. Didn't have to deal with my mom worked in the factory for 17 years, and my dad truck drive for 30 years, and was all that. When we would help them too, it was a collective family, I guess. We would all work for one goal, and that's that's pretty much what my mom and dad taught me growing up. Is that we all have to do our part, and it's always for to do good for your family, but also help others along the way when you can.
Right. So, I mean, one of the things that I, growing up, my mama taught me was many hands make light work. And if we all pitch in, then everybody does a little bit of work and we can all enjoy the benefits. It's sort of a standard approach. Fabi, so you yourself, though, was born in the United States, yes?
Yes, I was born in the United States. I'm born and raised here in Racine, Wisconsin. I graduated from Case High School, one of 3 big high schools here in Racine. The high school is the big pride here in Racine. We have, quote unquote, the world's greatest prom. For anybody from Racine watching this,
but yeah, give it up for Racine, man. You got thousands of viewers right now, so you got to give it up, man.
Yep, shout out to Racine. But yeah, we have, quote unquote, the greatest prom. After high school, though, I went to University of Milwaukee, graduated in political science, communication. I worked for the state for a little bit. Then after that, in the meantime, I was also going to Second City in Chicago. I did that for a little bit, and that was really fun. I met so many people with different backgrounds, different stories. Man,
with that little hat, you got a little. With that hat, you got a little John Candy working too, man.
A little what? You cut out
John Candy.
What was that?
John Candy.
Oh, John Candy?
From Second City TV.
No, my favorite was always Chris Farley was my favorite.
Oh, okay. It's a different generation.
Yeah, different generation, and he's a homeboy. He's from Wisconsin, Madison. So
that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, after I lived in Chicago for maybe about a year. I left my job. I was an advisor for a school advisor for students. I left that because during that time it was you remember the Standing Rock. I went to Standing Rock. It's just something I just couldn't pass up. I just felt connected to that terrible event because my family kind of went through the same thing here in Racine. And I know Standing Rock is not the only place. There's everywhere in America you'll find some kind of heartbreak story like that. Where
and always, by the way, let's be honest, that heartbreak story, right underneath it is corporations, big money, and Democrats and Republicans making the same kind of deals with their foot on the back of workers, the environment, and ordinary people.
Right. So, I mean, and that's pretty much the same story everywhere. In Racine, we have the same issues. We had a couple of years ago, we had a factory that left in the rain. For example, Rainfair left, and they left the soil was contaminated. So, and it was a billionaire. So, I mean, he had the funds to fix the problem, but obviously he didn't, because that's how corporate America works. Money first, and that's their model. Money first. So, yeah, it's like you said, pretty much same story everywhere. It's hard to go up against the corporate America, I guess.
So, Fabi, I'm curious that for you, somebody who had the trajectory that you did, so often people like you get sucked into the Democratic Party machine. Mm-hmm. You either saw through that or you had some experience. How is it that you immediately became a Green Party activist instead of a member of the Democratic Party? What happened there?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I was Democratic before. I was. I think
you ain't in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I was getting a little nervous. Okay, but yeah, I was really excited about the 2008 Obama campaign, and I'm sure everybody my generation, my age at that time was. After that, when Bernie Sanders came out, I mean, that's what really got me, was that he was a third party. He didn't have to be bought out by corporate interests. And I'm sure you know what happened with Obama and healthcare and how he basically had to sell us a little short because he had to pay the corporate America came first. They're part of they get the first pick of the pie. So he had to do what he had to do, I guess, is what his excuse was or whatever. But when Bernie Sanders arose, it's truly what inspired me to get involved into politics more, and it was the same time. At the same time, we had a dispute with the city of Racine, a struggle that my family had to go through. It was going around the same time Bernie Sanders' campaign was going, and that really inspired me to fight against the system, I guess you could say that. But yeah, it was Bernie was the one that inspired me the most, and then when Bernie pretty much let us know how well his the DNC let us know. I should say the DNC let us know what they were really about and what they really stood for, and they're still doing it today.
Fabi, it's interesting too because I appreciate you were straight up I got excited by Obama, and a lot of people did, right? They were inspired by the rhetoric and the idea of what could happen. And then Bernie Sanders comes along and raises your expectations again. What's interesting is I meet a lot of young people who were like you that were inspired by Bernie. A lot of them, though, are still sort of caught up in we can still make the Democratic Party work. You saw right through that, right? So, or did you? I mean, was it the DNC in Philly? And what was it that made you just ya basta, that's it, I'm done, I'm going green? What was it for you? What was your story?
What was it for me was I was still hopeful. Bernie brought this new platform. He changed the DNC platform, so unquote. And the thing is, it's after the election, it was clear that they didn't learn their lesson. It was clear that they put party first.
Or they already knew what they knew. You learned a lesson. Could be that.
Hey, no, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I learned my lesson. Is that Yeah, it's just these people. It's party first for them, and it's always will be party first for them, and that's the problem. Is that they're putting. When I say party first, obviously means they have to pay up for. They have to look out for their corporate interest. They have to get reelected, and that's the problem. They're more worried about getting reelected, saying the right things, and all that stuff that really turned me off was that the DNC cared about the DNC.
Fabi, what was interesting to me, like, so how old are you?
I'm 28.
So 28 years old, you're still in your 20s. And when I met you at that bar at Pete Karras, our mutual friend, right? We were at the Suburban Bourbon. And in talking to you very quickly, you were talking about knocking on doors in Racine. You were talking about running a local decriminalization. You were talking about building relationships. I mean, you were talking like an organizer and thinking about elections and as a revolutionary. Like, honestly, it's a special combination. So I want you to tell the viewers a little bit about sort of that idea that you have about using the issue of decriminalization to build a base to inspire people. So tell us what the plan is there in Racine.
Okay, so my plan right now is myself and the Racine Green Party, we have proposed a bill to the Common Council of Racine. Now, with this bill, we'll be able to decriminalize marijuana by just a quick little intro of the bill is just right now it's at 25 grams, and if you get caught with anything above that, under that, it's a misdemeanor, and then it goes to a felony. So what we're trying to do is make the police follow the city ordinance and not the state ordinance, where if they do get in trouble, if if you get caught with marijuana, you just get a ticket. No misdemeanor.
Because let's be clear, the state of Wisconsin and Scott Walker is straight up whack. I mean, like the state laws are terrible in Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, they're terrible. Research already shows marijuana is safer than alcohol, cigarettes, and even fast food. And it's still illegal, and it's dangerous. Marijuana is only dangerous because it is illegal. And that's the dangerous part.
I mean, that's a profound statement that you made, right? The only reason marijuana is dangerous is because it's illegal, right? I mean, as far as just the natural substance of it, if we were treating it like a public health issue and it were, properly regulated the way, other sorts of items are regulated, there really wouldn't be any problem, right?
Yeah, it's true. So in Racine, we have a high minority population. Racine is part of southeastern Wisconsin. Now, southeastern Wisconsin has the highest amount of young African Americans in jail in the whole entire United States of America.
So I want to stop for a minute and make sure that the viewers are really catching what Fabi just shared with us. Southeast Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Racine, that area has the highest number of incarcerated, and I think incarcerated people, right? In the country. The overwhelming majority of them are people of color and black folk. And the U.S. has the highest incarceration rate in the world. So in the country with the highest incarceration rate, Racine and Southeast Wisconsin is like it's prison capital, right? That's what's actually happening.
Yeah, it's the best of the worst. We're the best of the worst in keeping people in jail. We're literally ruining people's lives. What happens when you have a felony? When you have a felony, you can't apply for FAFSA, which makes it tough to go to school. If you have a felony, it's hard to apply for a job, to go to work, to get a job. And that's one thing that's going to keep people from moving forward, from progressing, because of these these felonies that shouldn't even be there in the first place for a nonviolent crime like marijuana, just like having marijuana. It's already, like I said, proven to not be dangerous.
Right. And so, Fabi, I want to make sure, because I haven't even called for the questions. We already got some coming in. So I promise, folks, keep the comments or questions going. Technical producer Michael O'Neill will be feeding those. We're going to get to those in just one moment after I ask this. So you started a campaign around decriminalization, but loop the Green Party and the door knocking campaign that you're doing even before the election started. Because when I heard that, I said, I got to get this young man on my radio or my broadcast program and tell people how you were thinking. So hit us with that.
So when Bernie was running, you talked about the political revolution, and I had the pleasure to meet Jill Stein. She came to one of our events, to our first kickoff Green Party event, and I mean, she was awesome too, man. But yeah, what I want to do, there's 16 districts in the city of Racine, and we're gonna have a campaign school, July 21st and the 22nd and the 23rd. And
I'll be there.
Okay, thank you. And what we're going to do there is we're trying to get progressive people who are passionate about making a progressive stride in our community, and to address the real issues that we're facing in the city of Racine, and not just Racine, but the state. We have very archaic laws that that are just we need to move forward. And you hear the politicians say that they're evolving on issues. Well, you could evolve on your own time and let us move this forward. And
all right.
Yeah.
I got to say, too, we're going to take some of these questions and comments, so keep them coming. But, Fabi, the idea that you are literally door knocking before you've even announced your campaign, that you're building relationships already, is brilliant. So I want to hit some of these questions. Steven Sander writes in to say, look, Bernie Sanders played the role of left gatekeeper, defining what was acceptable, that is, what was corporate approved. How are you feeling about that statement, Fabi?
That Bernie Sanders was the gatekeeper?
Yeah, that he basically said you can't go any further left than this, that Bernie was playing that role to try to keep people in the Democratic Party. What do you think about that?
I think we could go, I guess, quote unquote, farther left. I mean, there's still some issues that we could maybe move more progressive on. So right now, one of the things that we just passed is that Wisconsin is we voted for the referendum to get big money out of politics, basically what Bernie was saying too. But what we want to do is make a statement that not just Racine, but the whole entire state is ready to move in a progressive way. I guess.
I love that. So Jesse Elnicki says, how realistic is it for us to see our goal of medical cannabis reaching pharmacies into fruition? In other words, actually not just decriminalization, but the complete legalization of medical cannabis. How confident are you of that, Fabi?
Okay, I can't say I'm very confident for Wisconsin. The thing about Wisconsin is it's about marijuana. It's a federal law. The only way we could ever change that is if our state would allow it. It's a state law. So only once our state. The thing is, we have to we have to keep the political revolution moving. So what we're doing in our city is that we're running all 16 districts. We're running 16 candidates to try to basically infiltrate the system, and we don't have to we don't have to bow down to any Democrats or Republicans. And that's, I guess, we could go to the left of Bernie on that. Is that we don't have to always cut ourselves short, I guess. But
so I got to say, Fabi, yeah. I really want to hit this hard and underscore and lift up what you just said. So there are 16 districts in Racine, and y'all are running how many candidates?
The plan is to run 16 candidates.
See, I just want to let folks know, like that's how people think if they're actually planning to take power. And Michael Dennis, who's a young green himself, writes in to say, what? 28? Join the Young Greens. In fact, he says anyone who is under 35 years of age can join the Young Greens or the Youth Caucus of the Green Party of the United States. So I want to give a shout out to Michael Dennis and thank you for the work that you and Ursula and Ben Conover in Missouri is doing. And tell you, Fabi, hit me up off of this, right? And I will get you in touch with the Young Greens because I know that they're looking for people like you to collect and coordinate with.
That's awesome. We also have all our candidates right now. They're all under 30 years old.
Whoa, back up. Say that part again?
Yeah, the candidates that we have right now, the elections are going to be 2018 and 2019. But the candidates that we do have right now, they're all under 30 years old.
All right, so folks, for those of you who have only been casually listening, so Fabi just dropped something. First, there's 16 seats. Their plan is to run 16 candidates. He also told you the election is not till 2018 and 2019. They're door knocking now. He also dropped on you that all the candidates that they've got lined up are all under 30, right? So I guess what I'm saying is I maybe not should go to Racine in July to to give a campaign school. Maybe I ought to go there to learn how to recruit candidates and how to roll, because y'all got something going on, man.
Thank you so much. It's
Listen,
been a lot of
you got a lot of love here. Lori Root Riley says, "Go Millennials." Lane Davis says, "Hit the potential voters with legalizing marijuana, and you will win." I mean, it's clearly a winning issue, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I want to be honest with our voters. We can only decriminalize it here in Racine because, again, the state has to pass that law. And we will be pushing the state to pass that law.
And, Carol Schilling writes in with something very important. She says, decriminalization is not enough. We need legalization. Decriminalization still means tickets, lawyers, judges, classes, money, expungement, more money, and so forth. What's your ultimate goal, Fabi?
Well, I mean, obviously the ultimate goal is to legalize it. And because decriminalization, she's right. There's just so many gray areas that we have to be prepared for. So the end goal would be to legalize it here in Wisconsin, and not just Wisconsin, but the whole United States of America. We're so behind our time. Let's listen to science, listen to research. Let's move forward. And that's one thing, is that our politicians are supposed to be smarter than the average person, and I feel like they're not.
They're not. Wait till you get elected and you start bumping up against some of these others, man. So listen, Michael actually writes in to ask, can we sign up remotely to help your campaign online by phone or text banking, right? Is there a way for people to be participatory with you right now? This is the time to plug that website, Fabi.
Yeah, we have, you can go on Facebook, the Racine Green Party Facebook page. We also have a Twitter page, the Racine Green Party Twitter. And we have the website, the RacineGP.org. And you could donate there. And
Michael Dennis, our technical producer par excellence, is going to put the RacineGP.org into the comment section. I want to encourage folks to share this, not only this video stream, but to share that. Let's actually lift up the fact that millennials are literally leading the way in Racine and in the Wisconsin Green Party. Maddie May says, this gives me so much hope. Green is the future, and young greens are the future. So, Fabi, you're getting a lot of love in the comment section.
Thank you so much.
One thing I want to do, too, is because we were talking off air, Fabi, about how Racine was on the Underground Railroad, right?
Yeah.
And Wisconsin, of course, was an early abolitionist state where, as you probably know this story, the original states' rights came up, right? Where Wisconsin was saying, as a state, we have the right to reject the Federal Fugitive Slave Act, and they literally were in opposition to the federal government, the U.S. Supreme Court, and so forth. So tell us a little bit about the history of Racine, and I know something about your bar, so I want you to tell that story.
Okay, so yeah, one of that story, the history that you're pointing to is Joshua Glover. He was a runaway slave, came to the city of Racine for sanctuary. He was locked up in Milwaukee, and the people from Racine and Milwaukee, they joined together and they took him out of jail.
So I just want to stop for a second. When Fabi says they took him out of jail, this is how active a sanctuary city was and the Wisconsinites were. They welcomed Josh Glover as a member of their community. They did not even call him a runaway slave. They said he was a self-liberated human being, and they welcomed him as a full member of the society. He was playing cards when these bastards knocked down the door, grabbed them under the auspices of the Federal Fugitive Slave Act. Get this. They took him to Milwaukee, right, and locked him up in jail there. The people of Racine got on horses and began riding in circles throughout the countryside, and they were called the Wisconsin Wideawakes. They were clanging bells and saying, the slave catchers are amongst us. They have one of ours. They have one of ours. And they massed 10,000 strong in Milwaukee, led by Racine citizens, to demand the release of their comrade. And they literally took a battering ram, knocked down the jail door, freed Josh Glover, and said this to the federal government. And that, see, I just got to say, that's what it looks like if you're actually serious about a sanctuary city.
Exactly. And again, I feel like it's the same time in the same thing is going on again, except there's a lot more people in jail now in the city of Racine, southeastern Wisconsin. And I want to ask everybody who lives in southeastern Wisconsin to please help us elect people who want to change that terrible policing, the terrible amount of people in jail. It ruins everybody's lives. It's a tax burden on taxpayers that they shouldn't be, money that could be spent elsewhere for education is spent rather on keeping people in jail, keeping inmates fed in jail.
Bobby, let's just be clear about this. The so-called war on drugs is not a war on drugs. It's a war on people. And it's actually not making anybody safer. It's not actually helping the public policy. It is literally an example of turning young people, mostly brown and black people, into commodities that can be locked up for a profit. That's all it is. It is not just bad policy. It is immoral. It is unethical. It is an insane way to organize our society. And I do want to let you know, Fabi, that you've inspired Ben Palzer, who writes in and says, hell, I should run in my area. I know a few more Green Party people in my area. We could get a group ready for the next series of elections. Fabi, in 25 minutes, you've already inspired more people to run for office.
and that's the thing, brother. Like, if you are smarter, I tell people this all the time. You are smarter. You are more well-hearted person than most people in the city. In the city you live in, the officials that represent us. The thing about city government is that a lot of people are not they're not informed of what's actually going on in our own. They're more concerned about bigger politics, and they always dismiss or don't care for our local stuff. And it comes from the ground up. It always comes from the ground up, and I tell that to everybody. We have to.
It always has.
Up. And that's the way it's going to work. So that's the problem with the DNC too, is that you can't change it from the top to the bottom. It has to come from the bottom. It's ground up.
And, the thing is, I'm going to give this opportunity for a shout out to say, in the Green Party, there is room for you right now. Fabi Maldonado is an amazing individual, but his story is actually not unique. I could lift up so many other people who just got involved, rolled their shoulders up, and started to hit it. So I do want to, Fabi, give you an opportunity to give us your website, your Facebook, and some final thoughts.
Okay, the website, racinegp.org. My Facebook, it's actually Fabi Reynoso. That's my other last name, because Mexican people have two last names. Or a whole bunch of last names.
In Texas, there's a whole bunch of last names.
Yeah.
I don't know what part of Mexico you're from, but in Texas, there's a whole slew of last names.
Yeah. But yeah, my final thoughts is that I really hope everybody, all the young people, we got to do our part, brother. And brothers and sisters, we all have to do our part. You cannot always depend on other people to make the right choices. And that hasn't been working for any of us. So like marijuana is a perfect example. We all the millennials know. We already know what's up. But the thing is, it's the people who are in power, the people who are still in power that just, like I said, won't evolve on the issue. So while they evolve, we organize and we go district after district after district, and we start talking to people that were ignored. And that was a big problem with Hillary, that she ignored a big population of America, the working class, the blue collar class. We have to talk to all these people. We have to make the point. We have to let them know, science and research shows, and we have to be truthful too. And I think
one of the things that I really appreciated in that conversation that we had in that bar there, at the Suburban Bourbon, one of the conversations that we had is I was struck by how smart you were, how what a good sense of humor you had, but also just how easy you talked about both working class and class background, race, gender, sexual orientation. I mean, like you had a real sense of intersectionality around not only your analysis in your head, but your heart and how you talked about it. And one of the things that I really want to be clear, like we in the Green Party have got to integrate a genuine intersectional analysis. We will talk about class without becoming class reductionist. We will talk about race without falling into identity politics. We understand that we have got to win everything or we can't win anything, right? We're making a play to restructure this society. And we're not playing, right? We're going to have fun doing it, but we're not playing. We're serious.
Well, we're not playing in Racine, that's for sure. But yeah, it should be like that everywhere, though. And like, I really hope I could be a part of the building of the Green Party, not just in southeastern Wisconsin, but throughout the state. I want not just me involved, but I want everybody to be involved. We should always be involved. Everybody should be involved. Everybody should be aware what is going on because it literally affects us all every single day.
So, Fabi, I know you're working hard, but I'm going to put you on the spot right here in front of thousands of viewers right now. Are you willing to get introduced to Michael Dennis, Ursula Razome, and Ben Conover of the Young Greens? Will you do that?
I would do that.
So hit me up, Fabi, hey, I'm not going to get your number, right? You've seen me do this before. You've got mine, don't you?
Typical David Cobb. Typical David Cobb. Yeah, I'll give you a call, David. I'll give you a call.
All right, so Michael Dennis, I'm going to get Fabi hooked up because y'all need to know each other. So I just want to give a shout out to the Young Greens. And as we close out, I, as always, want to give a big thank you to Melizia Figueroa, the executive producer of the Green News Network. And I want to give a special thank you to Michael O'Neill, the technical producer of this show and of Jill Stein's show and her Fireside Chat, and the technical producer of Ajamu Baraka and Voices from the Margin. So a big thank you to Melizia and a thank you to Michael O'Neill, but a thank you to you, the viewer, for watching. And don't forget not to just watch this, but to share it with other people. We know historically that 10,000 people will know about Fabi if you do your part. So I want to thank you again for listening and tell you all good night. Peace.